Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Springbank Green 12-year-old, 46% ABV. Dustin, all bourbon, I believe, with all these? This is an old bottle, buddy.
Just the 12. There's a 13 that's ex-sherry.
That's right, yeah.
I was actually thinking I was going to grab that one, but this is the first one I saw today. So Mike said bring a Springbank, and I said let's go old school.
Yeah, analytics don't lie. People like Campbelltown reviews. We like Campbelltown whiskey. Really doesn't have to be any more difficult than that, then does it?
Yeah, you guys watch them, so we'll keep doing them.
Yeah, we'll drink. This 12 green, I don't see these a ton anymore, Dustin. Is this an every year release?
Now this stopped. This was the only release they did, but they had 2 years. They did the green series, which I guess is kind of their way of saying organic. I guess whatever the legal requirements are, they didn't pass those. But one of 9,000 bottles. This is a 2014 release on this one, Mike. So one of their kind of one-off special editions from the past.
We like obscure whiskey.
Yeah, they haven't done any kind of obscure like 46%ers in a while though. So they've been going cast strength on us, but they've gone a little younger. So
all right, Dustin, on the nose.
It smells green.
I was gonna say, vanilla. It does smell very clean. I'm getting a lot of sweet vanilla, which you normally expect from a refill bourbon cask. Very, very clean note. Almost comes off hazelburn as far as like its sweet cleanness.
I get tons of grass on here, Mike.
Yeah,
I get a lot of especially initially just up front, it's got a very like earthy malt. Kind of gives me like kind of the local barley kind of notes.
Okay, so quickly building here, while you were giving your thoughts. Lemon is quickly swelling up here. Grilled lemon, citrus lemon. Well, they're all citrus, but very acidic is a better way to say that, with a little bit of grill on it.
Yeah, I get that lemon note a lot when Springbank just goes all ex-bourbon, especially on the Hazelburn line. And this actually is giving me more of a Hazelburn than a Springbank right away. I don't get a ton of the peat notes, not a lot of smoke.
Agreed. Yeah, not a lot of smoke here. There is a bit of earthiness, but yeah, not. Because usually whiskey, the younger it is, the more smoke that you would usually get in it, if it's a peated whiskey.
But we're talking about again that this is some kind of green organic type of barley. So this could be like the local barleys, which sometimes aren't very peated. I think the 9 is the only one of those that really gave me a noticeable peat mark.
Yeah, again, it goes back to clean, very Hazelburn-esque in its arrival.
But it does have a little hint more of that sugar cookie note that our buddy Keith always talks about versus like the Hazelburn 10s.
See, I don't know. I was kind of actually going back and forth on that exact point. Like, is it the sweet crystalline sugar of a Hazelburn, or is it just the normal sugar dough cookies? But I'm not really getting the cookies.
Somewhere between the two to me. Like
it's low cookie.
It's less cookie, but it's a little bit of that crystalline note you're talking about. It's a little, but it's a little more buttery maybe than the Hazelburn. It's just a little more depth, a little more darkness. Hazelburn really goes to like a very refilled bourbon cask for those 10s, which works beautifully.
I could definitely get behind the comment of buttery you made.
Yeah.
Lemon butter, almost a bit of lobster in the background.
Maybe almost like a little bit of a biscuit. Maybe it's not a cookie, it's a biscuit, but it's definitely got a bready like kind of note that's come through here.
That's hard bread. That's some stale bread, if that's bread.
Yeah, it's stale. Again, I said biscuit.
All right, now at the end, as we're kind of getting past more of the dominant flavors, a twinge of sour is just kind of coming up in the background. Very reminiscent of ex-bourbon barrels like the Balvenie 12-year-old single barrel. We did another one recently that got a little bit of that sour oak. I believe it was actually the Cadenhead Hazelburn 13.
Yeah, I'm almost getting like a lemon head there on the end. Like it's actually getting that sweet. Like really go in there. Really go in. Like
I'm trying, buddy. I'm trying.
Take a big whiff. Oh, yeah. It's actually impressively sweet once you really get in there.
Yeah, this is always a safe style of whiskey. Solid bourbon cask maturation, 12, 15 years old. Decent ABV. I won't call it a great ABV. Yeah. Decent ABV. You can tell these were solid casks. Maybe not the best at the Springbank Distillery, but they weren't the worst either. Very middle of the road. I would like to know what the extra process is as far as what makes it green, which we should have given you guys, but more about taste.
That required a lot of research.
Yeah, reading. What are you picking up?
I absolutely love this. This is kind of reminiscent of maybe not the 10-year Hazelburn, but the 13 we just did. Good oak presence. The bourbon casks are definitely coming through here, giving a little bit of vanilla notes. But you're just getting that classic. Oh, there's a sugar cookie note here at the end. Just classic Springbank, giving you just that slightly peated here note that I'm getting now. But definitely, I think a little less than maybe some of the recent 10s. Just sweet, savory. So it's simple, classic Springbank notes. I don't have a really good descriptor here, Mike, to like give you anything more than that. It's just classic Springbank, just well done.
Yeah, it's a solid offering. So what this green does a little bit different than some of the other ones. This is a cleaner, more sugary. I mean, it almost comes off 2.75 times filtered or something like that. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add other than you say. I mean, it's the dominant I would say is vanilla. There's a lot of little pieces here. I never quite got to grass, but I did get to a sweet lemon. Mm-hmm. So I think we're kind of saying some of the same things. I guess what green has made is mean to me as a comparison, like say the 10 or something like that is a little bit more vanilla, oak presence, and I would say everything is a bit safer and a bit more cleaned up compared to what you would normally expect out of a spring. It still is very clean, very straightforward Springbank. Obviously, you're not going to get a bunch of crazy cask maturation. The ex-bourbon cask does exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to have vanilla and a little bit of sourness to it. I mean, solid offering. It's a cleaner version of what I would expect like the 10 and some similarly aged Springbanks to be. It's just a little bit sweeter, a little bit more palatable if you don't like anything too funky. Yeah. I get almost no funk.
If you're coming in as somebody who's never had Springbank before, this is funky. For anybody who's had any kind of Springbanks in Campbelltowns, this is so low on the funk scale, you're going to forget it's there.
Okay, so maybe I'm looking at it from a jaded perspective.
Yeah. I mean, if you had if I gave you a Balvenie, 15 bourbon cask from back in the day, and I hand you this, you'd be like, ooh, that's a little funky. I mean, it's not, that.
And this is very reminiscent of that Cadenhead Hazelburn 13 ex-bourbon. And again, I can see a lot of similarities in the Balvenie 12-year-old single barrel. A lot of similarities. That vanilla, the sour oak, that's all very, very similar. Just, I mean, in a lot of ways, not crazy distinct from a Springbank. If you're a person that feels like Campbelltown's a bit much for you, but you really want to try a Springbank, this would be your Springbank.
Gateway, yeah.
Yeah. Less funky than the 10, a lot more refined. Almost comes off Hazelburn Ash as far as its crystalline sugar note. Mm-hmm. Not anything to get too crazy excited about, though.
No, I will say this: for 46% 12-year-old whiskey, this has a much longer finish than you get on most whiskeys in this category. Mm-hmm. It actually has an impressive finish. Now, we're coming off of drinking a cask-strength Talisker 30-year-old, so it's a little bit of effort to kind of get back to that.
We have to level set.
Yeah. But if you were drinking this next to just about any other 12-year-old non-cask-strength whiskey that I can think of, this is going to be on the pretty extreme end in terms of longest finishes. It really has that nice kind of spicy, sort of hinting at peat, nice oak notes. Never gets too oaky. It never gets too sour. And it's got a nice middle ground vanilla sweetness. This is very approachable, very easy, but impressively strong. And also, I would say the mouthfeel here, again, is on the more viscous side for a 46. And for a Springbank, I tend to find, I'm a little critical of Springbank. Mm-hmm. I think this one, and even after the drop of water, is still coming off pretty viscous to me. Again, as a 46% whiskey, not for a cask-strength whiskey.
I don't disagree with you, Dustin. I question how much of that linger finish and how strong it is as far as viscosity is helped along by the fact it's pretty sharp citrus. Citrus is a stinging sensation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think the citrus is adding to the viscosity, especially at the end of the tasting and on the finish. To some degree, but I don't totally disagree with you.
The oiliness up front is the bourbon cask, because up front I'm not even getting the citrus initially, and actually I'm shocked when I added water.
I just said on the finish.
Because when I added water here, it's surprisingly still viscous. Mm-hmm. I was expecting it to really thin out, and it held well. I went pretty light on the water, but it's holding out really well. It's very buttery, oily. Mm-hmm. You don't get that very often on a 46%er. It's really done a great job there. I'm actually really impressed with the structure and how this whiskey's put together. There's no flavor that jumps out and blows you away. The citrus being the one strongest, most notable. But I'm really impressed with just how well this is put together.
Look, man, a lot of times when you get a store that will do a strictly ex-bourbon refill, traditional refill ex-bourbon cask and do it for a short time, like 12 years, they're pretty confident in their malt. Again, that's why some of the ones I mentioned are right on, like saying, like the Balvenie. I mean, these are quality malts. Having said that, whiskey score time. I'll go first since it's your whiskey.
Go right ahead.
I am between two scores like usual. I'm going to give the lower end the score, and let me tell you why before I tell you what the score is. I'm going to give the lower end the score because I'm a Springbank fan. This isn't what I came here for. Like, again, if you want an entrance into Springbank after the 10, this would be a great place. If you don't really like sherry cask maturation, this would be a great place. But to me, going back and forth, lower of the two, 86 out of 100. Could have gone 87, and it probably is from what the whiskey is, it's probably an 87. But I'm a Springbank fan, and this isn't what I like about Springbank. Tell me why I'm wrong.
So I initially was an 87, Mike. But the more I sip on this with water, and the more that lingers, that I'm going 88. I am just blown away by how well put together this is. This is darn near a perfect 12-year-old whiskey. The balance of sweet, sour, and a little wisp of smoke on the end. The long finish. I'm getting a little wisp, and it's more of a wood smoke than a peat smoke. But just how nice and creamy it is up front, even with water, is actually really impressing me here. This is one of the best mouthfeels on a 46 Springbank I can think of, unless you're talking 21s and 25s. So let's not go there. Like, this would put some of the 18s to shame in terms of mouthfeel, viscosity. Now, those have more exciting maturations and stuff like that. But the balance, structure, and overall impression here, this is perfectly crafted whiskey. If I were, Serge or one of those guys who is willing to go 92s, 93s on whiskey that I find a little simple, I could see why you would go 90 plus on this whiskey, because it's just so well done. That said, not going to blow your mind. It's not a wow. I'm going 88. It's a soft 88. I'm giving it there because that finish and that mouthfeel up front really just punches above its weight.
Dustin, I'm not saying you're wrong. Those are good thoughts as well. I like to hear what everyone else thinks if they had a chance to try this particular one. I don't disagree with you. Some of your knocks on Springbanks in general is mouthfeel. So they're usually at 46, so some of them are better or lesser in that regard. And I do agree, this has one of the better mouthfeels for the 46% Springbanks in general, it's taking into account cask maturation. But again, if you have a mixed bourbon cask and that's it, you're just trying to show off the spirit. You have some nice cask, a nice distillate you're going to throw in there for a little while, and the people are going to respond to it even at a young age, and an ABV that's middling.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, we'd like to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy green drinking, and guys, hit the like if you want to see us do the 13-year.
Next time.